Let's turn our attention back to, well, events on Monday, the new hate crime law that came into force in Scotland, which does actually, everyone thinks, oh, it's happening in Scotland. No, it impacts people across the whole of the UK. Someone who doesn't like something that I say in a tweet on air here on Talk could report it to the Scottish Police and ask them to get in touch with the Met Police here in London, where I am right now, and say, can you please investigate Julia for a hate crime? I might end up being prosecuted. I could technically end up going to prison, or I could end up with a non-crime hate incident, but I might not even know about that. Well, yesterday, police in Scotland announced that they wouldn't be prosecuting J.K. Rowling for a series of tweets that she put out on Monday, April Fool's Day, interestingly, in which she identified, well, mockingly, a number of high-profile trans figures, including the rapist Isla Bryson and the model Munro Bergdorf and TV presenter India Willoughby, as all being men, and basically said, if you want to arrest me, that's fine. I look forward to being arrested. Well, let's talk about this right now with Ben Jones. He's from the Free Speech Union and joins us. Good afternoon to you, Ben.
Hi, Julia.
I have to say, an awful lot of us are cheering J.K. Rowling on for basically just saying, I'm not going to be cowed by this new law. I'm happy to go to prison. Something I've said for a very long time. I'm happy to go to prison for the refusal to state something I know not to be true. A man cannot become a woman cannot become a man. Therefore, a trans woman is not a woman. The decision of the police in Scotland to say that her tweets were not a hate crime and she would not be investigated, did that surprise you?
I think probably what Police Scotland are going to do is try and find the most horrifying and outrageous example of hate that they can in the coming weeks, so that this act does not become even more of a laughingstock than it already is. We've seen in the first 24 hours 3,800 complaints, and the Association of Scottish Police Superintendents had warned before the act came into effect that it would be used by vexatious complainants, which I think is code for trans activists, and that is exactly what we have seen. It really is a censor's charter that is a nightmare for freedom of speech in Scotland. And J.K. Rowling has made herself, in an incredibly courageous way, a human shield for the millions of people who think as she does, as I do, as you do, that you cannot change your sex.
No, I don't think it. This is the thing, people say it's protected belief. I don't think it. I know it to be true. It is a fact. And this is the thing. We must not use their language. We don't go down their route. But this is the thing. You say it's a laughingstock, this law, but it's also incredibly sinister. I mean, I wrote a piece for The Sun about this today. I mean, it is, we use the term Orwellian far too often, but this truly is Orwellian. You know, children being allowed to basically knock on their parents in their own home. What is said in your own home can still be something that you could be, prosecuted by the police for. And again, like with the hate crime laws in the rest of the UK, which are equally chilling on our ability to conduct free speech, it's all about the eye of the beholder or the ear of the beholder. If someone perceives that something is offensive, not even to them, but they think it might be offensive to someone else, that alone is enough for them to make a complaint to the police, which I'm assuming is what an awful lot of those 3,800 were. I mean, this would I presume, I think, that, for instance, in Scotland, there are no burglaries, there are no rapes, there is no shoplifting, there are no muggings. The police are sitting around twiddling their thumbs with nothing else to do but deal with hurty tweets.
Well, on an average day in Scotland, about 24 people can expect to have their houses burgled. So I'd say good luck to anyone who's in that unfortunate position in the last few days at getting the police to come round to your house, much less to find and prosecute the burglar, because the police have promised that they're going to investigate every single complaint made under the Hate Crime Act. And there are these pop-up hate crime reporting shops that have been set up across Scotland, including in what we might euphemistically call an adult shop in Glasgow. So you can go in... A sex shop, and you can go in and dob somebody in. And obviously the trans stuff is the main area of contention at the moment, and J.K. Rowling has very courageously spoken out about this and defied the police to arrest her. But the Act also removes what's called the dwelling defence, i.e. what you say, the words you say in your own home, to your own family. And in addition to making transgender a protected characteristic under this Act, it also includes age. So if you are in your own home and you call your own husband or your own father or a member of your family a grumpy old git, that can be an offence under this Act if the offended party decides to go to this sex shop in Glasgow and report you for it.
Yeah, I'm assuming also, I can say that no one under 20's opinion is worth anything at all. That presumably would be a crime on that basis. But this is it. We've lost the nuances of conversation, because I think all right-minded people would think it was right that someone who is abusive, harassing, targeting somebody because, well, for any reason at all. There doesn't have to be a reason for, race or gender or age or disability or anything. But say just targeting someone, that should be a crime. People, it took years for women to get the right to have domestic abuse and harassment dealt with, and we finally understood that. But if you're threatening someone, if you are inciting violence towards people, those are already crimes. Why do we need to have new crimes, whether it's in Scotland or across the rest of the UK? And we've certainly got some big worries about the extension of these laws under Labour, given that Labour supported these measures in Holyrood, to actually just, because someone just doesn't like what someone says. Because we used to say when I was a kid, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now we consider words somehow to be as bad as physical violence or threats, even when those words are just sort of someone giving their opinion.
Yes, absolutely. It's a complete nonsense. And obviously, yesterday there's been this unfortunate incident where somebody has daubed racist graffiti near the First Minister's house, which is dealt with under existing law. It doesn't then follow to me that because people want to go and do that sort of thing, a tiny number of people want to go and do that sort of thing, that we need to criminalise people who, I was about to say believe, but you're quite right, who know the reality of biological sex and who want to discuss those issues and talk about it and to criticise transgender ideology. It's a complete nonsense. It doesn't follow at all. And if you look at the statements that are being made by Scottish Government ministers defending this legislation, they're basically along the lines of this is not going to be as bad as you think it will be. That seemed to be the line on Monday. Yeah. And yet now we've seen almost 4,000 complaints so far in the first 24 hours. And that figure, of course, is now, 12 or 15 hours old. And so there may be thousands more. Yeah. Indeed, there surely will be.
It is an absolutely absurd. I would love them to have hubs for us to report rather more serious crimes. I mean, the response from J.K. Rowling to the police in Scotland saying they weren't going to be questioning her about her tweets, that they did not break the law. She said, "I hope every woman in Scotland who wishes to speak up for the reality and importance of biological sex will be reassured by this announcement. And I trust that all women, irrespective of profile or financial means," as a very famous billionaire, will be treated equally under the law. And that's the issue, isn't it? Because she's basically daring them, like, come and get me. Good luck. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. But from the work that you do at the Free Speech Union and the incredibly important work you do, and you are Director of Case Operations and Outreach at the union, that this isn't just happening to celebrities. This is very rich people, famous people. This is happening to ordinary people going about their daily lives all of the time. Now, I'm a member of the Free Speech Union. I'm also involved with the union, an unpaid position. I made a donation. First thing I did, I woke up on Monday morning and made a donation to Free Speech Union because I know you've opened a new office in Edinburgh. You're going to have to deal with all these cases. And there are so many thousands of people who are basically losing their livelihoods, losing their jobs because of laws like this and the impact on free speech. Tell us the work that you guys do and how much of an explosion in casework you think you're going to have.
That's correct. In just 4 years, we have dealt with 2,500 cases. I'm happy to say that we are successful and get a favourable outcome 74% of the time when we're helping people. But we have seen a surge of new members joining up north of the border from Scotland, 600 members in just 5 or 6 days. People are so concerned about what's going on and about what this act is going to mean for them. It's worth saying as well about J.K. Rowling, although the police have now backed down and they said that there doesn't seem to be an imminent danger that she's going to be arrested or prosecuted, there is every chance that there will be a non-crime hate incident that has been recorded against her after this thread that she posted on Twitter. And the police and the Scottish government seem to be dodging questions on that. And it's worth perhaps explaining that a non-crime hate incident is something that is recorded by the police against your name. You might never know that such a record has been made against you. And it might only be when you apply for a job that requires an enhanced background check that you discover that an NCHI has been recorded against you. And we've helped people have lost job offers because of this record that they never even knew existed. And we're currently helping Murdo Fraser, the Conservative MSP, get one of these records removed against his name that Police Scotland have recorded after he said that changing your gender was like identifying as a cat. It was a complete nonsense. Yeah. And very recently, we've helped south of the border, Rachel McLean, the Deputy Conservative Chairman, have an NCHI removed against her name. So these things are possible, and we know how to get it done.
There are hundreds of thousands of these non-crime hate incidents that are recorded against people. People think, oh goodness me, it's just a silly culture war. You silly people are getting your knickers in a twist about nothing. People are losing their jobs. People are being sort of cancelled, completely. They're losing their livelihoods, but also millions more are just kind of staying quiet. I know you've also done a poll, it was in the papers yesterday, about people being forced to attend to diversity training, laughably named diversity training. I think that someone once asked me to go on some unconscious bias training. I pointed out that all of my biases were completely conscious, and I was very happy with all of them, thank you very much. But people being asked to go on this training and thinking, I can't give my honest views because I'm going to be sacked.
And we've dealt with people who have been told that they can give their honest views about the training that they're being forced to sit through by their employer. They do so. They criticise the idea of white privilege, and they ask questions like, is there black privilege in Ghana, as in the case of Simon Isherwood, who we helped and won his case for. And we've also had, for instance, the case of Carl Borgneel, who he was a bank manager. And he was punished for the comments he made in one of these training sessions. And we see this all the time with people trying to express their views in the most moderate way, or stumbling over their words and then apologizing for something they've said if they've been inarticulate or if they've caused offense accidentally. But still, people are losing their jobs and people are being fired after decades working for their employer. And it's very difficult if you're in your mid-50s, say, and you've worked somewhere for 10, 15, 20 years, and there's a gap on your CV and you can't get a reference and you've been fired unjustly. It's very difficult then to move on. And people then have to go to the Employment Tribunal, and that might take 2 years.
And this is the thing. This isn't just a billionaire celebrity authors. This is real. This is happening right now. It's happening probably in your company that you work for. Might be happening in the company I work for. This is happening everywhere. We need to deal with it. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much indeed, Ben Jones from the Free Speech Union.